Welcome to Muslim Network TV. This is Imam Malik Mujahid. What's happening in Sudan? Why people are fighting on the Eid day? To discuss that with us is Mubarak Elamin, who is an activist from Sudan but working in the technology sector in Washington State. Welcome to Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Well, first of all, is your family safe?
Yes, my family is safe. The last time I checked with them was early this morning.
Okay. So what is the current situation in Sudan?
The current situation is very tense. A fight erupted between the military and the rapid response services. And this is a paramilitary group that is created by the military itself in the past. And so they are really fighting inside the capital of Khartoum. And later I can give you a background on what led to that.
Okay, so both sides are part of the Sudanese government. They are being paid by the government, right?
Right. So the the Rapid Response Forces is called RSF. Is actually created in the past by the military, by the previous regime, which is a dictatorship, and it was a brutal dictatorship led by Omar al-Bashir. And they created to fight some of the rebel forces in Western Sudan. And that used to be the same group that used to be called the Janjaweed, if you recall the Darfur crisis that we had in the past. And it's a paramilitary group that came after the revolution, which is a recent revolution that happened like 4 years ago. That was in 2019, when pro-democracy revolted and ousted the previous regime, which is Omar al-Bashir regime. And the Rapid Response Forces and the military, they together with the pro-democracy, they created what they call it the transitional government, so that the transitional government to move Sudan towards democratic regime, which is supposed to happen in 2023. Now, in 2021, the military staged a coup and they jailed all of the pre-democracy leaders. Okay, that's in 2021. And with the Rapid Response Forces, which is like the military and the Rapid Response Forces, they created a government, which is, the head of the government is the military leader, and the deputy is the RSF leader. Now, leading to the pre-democracy continued to, demonstrate on the street, and really they didn't give up at all, because they still held on the demand of wanted democratic system, for Sudan. Now, in last December, the pre-democracy movement and the military and the RSF, they signed a preliminary agreement to move Sudan towards a full democratic system led by civilians. And within that agreement, they also, one of the agenda of that agreement is to combine and to integrate the RSF and the military. And when that happened, the two groups, they did not agree on how to integrate. And the tension rose, and last weekend, it erupted in a fight, and a violent war inside the city between the RSF and the military. That's really kind of the background in a very short run.
Well, give us Sudan 101. I mean, Sudan has been in news because of conflict for a while. I mean, there was South Sudan, and Sudan, it seems to be a wise thing, let people have their own country. Whole West was supporting that, so South Sudan came into being. Then issue of civil war came, and then the change of regime. Why there is continuously a violent upheaval in Sudan?
That is really a great question. You know, Sudan was colonized by the British, and like any other African country, you know, in 1956, they gained their independence. And unfortunately, you know, when the independence came, it seems like all of the government or all of the political groups and the institutions were not really well prepared to take control of the country. And then it really it kind of rolled into chaos. So many, you know, coup d'etats and democratic systems, they don't last long. They last only like 4 years or 3 years, and then another coup d'etat come into power. And the military was on the center of this chaotic system all along. And what really stood out for me as an observer, as somebody from Sudan, you know, the different parts of Sudan, like you find like the West, which is the Darfur and Kurdistan, and in the South, they used to be very much, you know, a lot more ethnically African. And then you find like on the north, there is a mix of different, you know, groups that are mixed between different, you know, really different ethnicity, and also different languages as well. So Sudan is very diverse, and also culturally is each groups, they hold in really strong to their cultural, you know, heritage. And unfortunately, the failure of the having a genuine effort to work together and to build a country, that was also at the center of the trouble that, you know, all along put Sudan into civil wars and instability and all of these kind of things.
So what's the role of foreign powers in this conflict?
So that's another great question. So Sudan location is a very strategic. You know, it kind of you know, it sits right south of Egypt and right by the Red Sea, you know, across from Saudi Arabia, and then is surrounded by 7 countries. You know, the Horn of Africa, you know, on the south is like, you know, you find the African countries like Uganda and Kenya. And so that's now is like South Sudan. And in the west, you find like, you know, Chad and the Ivory Coast. And then in the northwest, you find Libya. So Sudan is very much in that, you know, is even the old Sudanese map is like almost like the heart of Africa, and also very rich in resources. Sudan is like, you know, it contributes 4% to the overall gold of the world. You know, it's kind of ranked number 4. I mean, they produce 4% of the gold. And for a long time, also, the airspace is very critical. And also the port on the Red Sea is very critical to so many bases. So China is fighting for Sudan. Russia is fighting for Sudan. US also has an interest in Sudan. And regionally, Egypt has interest in Sudan. Saudi Arabia has interest in Sudan. Emirates has interest in Sudan. So look at the River Nile that runs into Sudan. You have the Blue Nile and the White Nile. They run all the way to Egypt. They form the Blue Nile. They form the Nile in Khartoum, and it runs all the way to Egypt. The water resources is very rich in you know, minerals, and also the availability of water, as well as fertile land, produces a lot of the, it used to be called the food basket of the world. So Sudan, if it's stable, it can actually produce enough food for all of the regional neighbors.
So are any of these foreign powers supporting one side or the other in the conflict?
Of course, yeah. So the army is clearly supported by Egypt and is backed by Egypt. The Sisi regime is definitely, behind the armed forces, staying in power and not giving up power, because any successful model of any successful democratic model in the south of what they call it, the Nile base, is going to reflect on what kind of regime should Egypt have. Also, you look at regionally, most of these regimes are autocratic. You look at the monarchy and in the Gulf or in Saudi Arabia, and then you look at the military in Egypt, all around that region. So now Emirates is also, and Saudi Arabia, they were historically very supportive of the RSF. Remember, the RSF, the Rapid Response Forces, these are the same forces that used to go and fight in Yemen. These are the forces that financed and equipped and militarized by and supported by the Emirates and Saudi Arabia. So they all have say in this war, by the way.
So what is the role of African Union? African Union has been somewhat assertive. Are they trying to stop this war between these two groups and bring them to negotiation?
Yes, the African Union has always been they played a critical role in the negotiation of the previous agreement between the military, the RSF, and the pro-democracy movement. And that negotiation led to the formation of the transitional government. So, but unfortunately, the African Union has very limited power. They don't really have they don't have the strings they can pull, like the power that Emirates or Saudi Arabia have, or Egypt has on the army. So these the region, the key ones are really those countries like Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and Emirates. They have a lot more, clear strings that they can pull to move things either towards peace or towards war. Now, the African Union, they can always, come with the good intention to resolve the conflict and negotiate some of these kind of things, but I don't think they have. I don't think they are very effective.
Well, thank you so much, Mubarak Elamin. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Appreciate the call.
You're watching Muslim Network TV. Please stay tuned for other programs. Peace and salam.